Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and we're doing another video straight after the day before's one because we've had a 5,700 hand day, which is enough to review some hands. I wanted to do like every 5k hands do a review. I was expecting to be doing that like every 2 days, if you will, but because it's been the weekend and I wanted to get the challenge off to a flying start in terms of volume, and also because I've got a long day in work tomorrow, so I'm unlikely to play too many hours, and then it's Cheltenham Tuesday. I was kind of thinking this might be the last video till Wednesday, so we'll bash it out while the hands are still fresh in my memory rather than trying to look back on hands that are 3 or 4 days old. So before we get into the hand reviews, please don't forget to like, share, what have you with the video. Please, if you haven't yet donated and you're considering it, if you want to like show your appreciation for the channel and what have you, please do get in touch with how to find out how to donate, and I'd be happy to furnish you with the details. We are trying to get to £500 now. We're up to 237 in donations, I think, and then whatever winnings we got on the end will go on top of that, or 25% of them anyway. So yeah, please donate if you can afford to. No amount too small. Just send it and you'll get my thanks. So anyways, on with the first hand. The regular. I don't know he's a regular. I wasn't sure what start of regular, but I knew it's a regular. Opens under the gun. We 3-bet ace king suited on the bottom. He goes all in for 200 big blinds, and I snapped. In hindsight, I don't like my snap, given that we are pretty fucking deep. Would I do this at 50NL or 30NL? No, I wouldn't, so I shouldn't be doing it at 5NL. Should just fold this hand. I think he's going to have a lot of pocket jacks, pocket tens, pocket queens, ace king as well, but we just don't need to be getting involved in this sort of contest. We talked about it yesterday. I'm annoyed with myself. I've made a few calls today that I'm not happy about, and we're going to see them all, so this will be the first one. It is. I mean, his card's clearly fucking ridiculous, his line. I mean, because literally I'm calling with probably just kings, aces and ace king here, so it's really lucky. It's like I've got one of those like hands, but I mean, his hand's fucking, his play's rubbish, my play's rubbish. There you go. Neither has come out of that with too much pride intact, I don't think, although of course he's not going to give a fuck because he's dragged a big pot. Second hand we open queens, we get 3-bet by a pretty aggressive regular. I think I should just 4-bet here, but I elected to call. Check, call. Check, call again. I think it's all fine so far. And then I think we can find a fold at this point. He's asking us to put 100 big blinds in. If he was drawing at some kind of straight, well, he maybe or maybe not got there. If he's drawing at a flush on the turn, he's got there. If he's got kings or aces, he's got there. If he's got pocket tens, he's got there. It should just be a fold. It's just not a spot where these, like, I don't care that it's an aggressive regular. He's got a woman soft flop at 41. Just isn't, people just start bluffing in these spots in these games. I shouldn't. Well, I do know it. It's knowing it's one thing, finding the folds is another, I guess. I'm constantly banging on about how good my discipline is, and today it's not been great. Call, and we obviously went into aces, and I think, you know, we've just thrown $11 away there, in my opinion. Really disappointing and quite annoying, and I quit the session shortly after that because it's like, right, that's fucking annoyed me. Not the fact I've lost the hand or ran into aces, the fact that I've lost the maximum. I'm really quite pissed off with myself with that one. This one gives a bit of a spoiler into how my last session of the day went. He goes all in. We call with the kings. I mean, this is standard, not bollocking myself for this one. Flop a boat, which is pretty sweet, but not sweet enough. And we list the quads. I mean, that I quit my session again pretty much quickly after this one too. I had a pretty bad session tonight, undone all my day's work just about. We'll discuss it. We'll see that at the end. Yeah, my last session today was pretty much a fucking disaster, and that kind of put the tin hat on it. 2 aces, we 4-bet, he just jams for who knows how many big blinds. We call. This time we're on the right side of the kings versus aces. Squeeze the kings pretty big to 16 big blinds with this one. We get 2 callers, we get a pretty good flop. C-bet pretty big into 2 players. It's going to be no secret here when we C-bet into 2 players in this board text. We've got an overpair or a monster flush draw. There's no reason to bet really too small. I think this was like 3/5 pot, something like that. He calls, he folds. As safe a turn as you could hope to see. We go all in, we get the call. And it was kings versus queens this time, so nothing too non-standard happening so far in all of these. Oh, another big pair. We have the kings. We 3-bet. Wow, this guy's got these stats. I thought he was a fish. He's rarely got a full stack, and yeah. Okay. I've learned something about Goodwin today because I didn't mind. But I think he's probably still a losing play even with those stats. He doesn't seem good to me. Anyways, there we go. He calls. In a reasonable flop, we bet. He goes all in. We can't fold. If he's flopped a set, then good for him. And he just went all in with the open and straight draw. I guess if you're going to call the 3-bet with the queen jack, I guess raising that flop and side calling is the way to go. I wouldn't necessarily go all in like he did. I think I just raised smaller. I think it looks stronger when you raise smaller than when you go all in. When you go all in, it's not that hard to put somebody on a hand that wants folds, I think. I still wouldn't have folded no matter what he did, but I think in general he would have been better on the flop making his sizing. And we bet 142. He can just make this like 4 here, 420, something like that, and just be priced in to call it off. But it would look way stronger in my opinion. But never mind. He decided to go with the jam, and it didn't work out for him. 2 queens. We 3-bet, call. I don't remember this hand. I decided to C-bet, which I guess I don't hate on this board texture. I'm going to want to C-bet most of my range, but this should probably be a check, I guess. And this board, we just want to bet pretty much all our range, though, don't we? King 7-2 dry in a 3-bet pot. I don't hate the bet. He calls. Deuce on the turn. Check. He bets small. We can't fold. River 3. We check. He goes all in. I mean, I guess you got to ask yourself the question here, what did he call with on the flop? I mean, he probably 4-bets ace king pre. We blocked king queen really hard. King jack, I guess. King jack suited, maybe. I don't actually remember what he had, so let's see. We called, and he did king jack off. Never mind, I guess. Again, though, I think we should maybe think about finding a fold on the river, given that if we ask the question, what did he call with on the flop? What's he called with pre-flop and on the flop that now wants to like bet turn jam river? There's just no draws on the flop. I think we can probably get away from that hand. Again, I'm not happy with myself. I've been a bit stationary today, and the way to beat these games is to just be super disciplined and not be a station. Just bet when you like it, bet when you want to bluff, and fold when they seem to want to put quite a lot of action in. It's a way to crush these games. It's a way I've been doing it, and today for some reason I've just stationed a lot, which is disappointing. Jacks, we open the button, we get called in 2 spots, we get a good flop, we C-bet, pick up 2 callers, turn the set, happy days, check check, we bet 150 into 270, which I think's okay. He raises, we go all in, he calls, and it was just set over set. Well, on the flop it wasn't set over set, but on the turn it was. We call and open with jack queen suited. Check call, we turn 2 pairs. We check raise, which I think is completely fine if he's got overpair kings, aces, ace queen, flush draws, tons of action we can get here. He calls. River is an offsuit 8. Interested to see what I do here. Before we look at what I do, what do I think I'd like to see me do? I think we should carry on bluffing here. We've got king 10. If I've got spades that I've decided to delay check raise with, they all want a bet. I think I'd like to see myself make another bet here. Probably just all in. That's what I do. And he turned top pair as we turn 2 pairs. So we bet here. We get raised. I remember this hand. And we'll go back to pre-flop. Right at the very start of this hand, this table popped up and I seen him calling somebody a donkey, and he typed a couple of like random messages in chat. He was visibly tilted, or at least it seemed that was the impression he was giving anyway. So we had the hand as we did. We dechecked, we bet, he raised, and then he put the little chicken sign out, which neither here nor there. If I didn't have a hand, it wouldn't bother me. I wouldn't be like, oh, my ego has now been bruised. I can't be being called a chicken. I'm going to go all in. It was nothing to do with that. I just thought the guy's tilted off his fucking brains. He can just have all kinds of nonsense here. So I jammed for just what I thought was fat value. He called. And he had the 10-4 suited. So there you go. That was another stack down the drain. We isolate a limper with the jack 10. We flop a top pair. He bets into us. He overbets into us. We call. He overbet jams the turn. We call again. And I think it's different here calling off against people who are very clear and obvious fish than it is against regulars. Paying off large bets against regulars, in my opinion, is setting money on fire in these games. Against these fish, you just have to like not hero falls to them and make top pair, cling on to it. If they want to be nutty, then no. If he wants to flop for 8-5, jack 8 or whatever, and just play it this way, then he's going to get full value for his stack. As it turns out, he was just doing it with second pair. 2 queens. We get squeezed by this guy who I thought I've got him tagged as blue, so that means he's been a short stacker at some point. It's actually short stacking this hand, does he think? Yeah, short stacking this hand too. I thought it was a little bit nittier than this, to be honest with you. My notes say it's like short stacking nit. I'm going to have to adjust that because he's just a pretty tag short stacker now. Anyways, I decided not to fuck around with him and just go all in. He calls. And he had the jacks. Two queens again. 5-5-3 float. We bet. We get raised by another fish. I like to just go all in at this point. I mean, you can just have anything from pocket sixes up to pocket jacks that we're beating, flush draws that we're beating, ace 3 maybe, who knows. Lots of nonsense. I don't want to just call and see all kinds of bad turns come off. King, ace, diamond, you know, anything that might complete a straight for him. So we just went all in. He called, turned to boat, and he just had the 3-4. So we've been doing okay against the fish in general. We've just been paying off the regulars, which is way more annoying. I mean, if I'm going to lose 100 big blinds, I want to lose it to a fish, not to a fucking regular. Fuck the regulars. I've got no sense of solidarity with any of them. I despise them all. They can all get fucked. Fish, happy days. You want to double through me? You go for it. Regular, fuck you. Don't want to know. So we isolate again here against another fish, and everyone calls. We flop a top pair. On a monotone flop, we just check back. Don't really want to be playing a big pot at this point with just top pair on this board in a multi-way pot. We turn trips. We just call, and then we river the effective nuts. It's not the actual nuts, of course, but it's fucking close enough for my liking. He bets into us all in, and I wasn't sure whether to just like call here and maybe he calls if I look weak, or just go all in. I decided to go all in, thinking, well, if he's going to be able to call 139, he's going to be able to call 192. So we went with it. He folded anyway, and He flopped the flush and trapped himself into a problem. Two queens again. We get min 3-bet by a donut. We 4-bet. He goes all in. We call. And he just had ace-10. Gets it all in pre with ace-10 for whatever that was, 50 bigs. So it's not been an all bad day. We have made money today. I think I just, in my opinion, given more away than I needed to. Two kings here. Oh, this was the most interesting part of the day by a long way. So we 3-bet the kings. This guy over here just limp cold calls a ISO, then a re-ISO from the 2 blinds. He calls 2, and he donks into us. I raise, happy to stack off against this dude. We are deep against this guy. He puts the min 3-bet in on the flop, and I'm like, wow, what the fuck's going on here? We've had limp, raise, re-raise, call, bet, raise, re-raise. I was just like, fuck me, absolutely fuck my life. And considering some of the bad calls I've made so far this session, I've made some fucking stinking calls, as I've seen. I didn't with this one. I just thought, you know what, just get out of here. He could, I mean, he's representing a set, isn't he? You know, he's that limp call. I mean, he can have all 3 of the sets here. Fuck knows what this dude can have. And I was just like, this hand's fucked up. It's gonna go tits up. I didn't particularly want to go for like another 150 bigs with just one pair when there's like absurd action going on. So I did get out of the way. He goes all in on the turn for his last 2. He calls, and we managed to dodge the aces. We got burned a bit. We lost like 60 blinds or whatever, but yeah, we managed to dodge that one. That's clearly the most bonkers hand that we've played so far in the challenge. He could just cut it all pre, I think. Maybe if he limp, well, I don't know, does he? If he limp, bet, raise, re-raise pre, he probably gets it all, to be fair, because call, this flop comes down, check, bet, who knows what. Yeah, I think he'd be pleased with the pot he's won there, but I think he's certainly have quite a bit of my money on the table. 2 jacks here. Yeah, didn't like this one too much either. I think at 5, I'm having a big problem paying up at 5 and L because it's just 5 and L and I'm struggling to find the 4s. 10 and L, I don't think I'm doing as bad on the calling station bit, and I think that's going to show in my stats because I'm pretty sure my went to showdown is significantly higher at 5 and L than 10 and L. I'm definitely stationing more at 5 and L. Maybe because I'm thinking, well, it doesn't hurt as much to call them off, but we should be thinking in big blinds, not in money. Anyways, this is a standard check call. I think at this point we should probably just get away from the hand. Yeah, I guess he can be like having some flush draws and what have you, but I think we should just get away, but alas, we don't. And then there was another king, which I thought was quite good for us. Reduces the number of kings he can have. He shouldn't have too many 4s to begin with, etc. At this point, I don't think we can fold. Once I decide to call a turn, folding this river seems fucking absurd. But he had the king jack. 9-10 suited. We open, we get 3-bet by another aggressive regular, and this was after the I think it was after the queen king quads over like boat. I was shell shocked at this point. I was about to quit the session. I was on my way to quitting it, but this hand came up. Usually I just fold these hands pre-flop out of position. I didn't know. We flop nothing. He checks back. So now I'm thinking, right, ace queen, ace king, maybe just some random air like king queen, king 10, who knows what. So I just elect to try and win the pot. We bet the turn. Oops. Didn't know it was dirty, thank you. Do all that later. Get it off. Then we just bet the river, expecting him maybe if he has peeled like ace king, ace queen, ace 10, whatever. Try and make him fold it now, because you'd expect him to bet his flush draws on the flop. That's what I was thinking. He can't really have a flush, because he would have bet it on the flop. That was my thinking. And he just had the queen jack offsuit, which is sums up the session really. Jack 7 suited, we isolate a limper. We flop the world. You just carry on betting here for value. I mean, he shouldn't have too many queens in his hand. So I went for the overbet just to try and get value from like 5x, 8x, 4x, worst 7s, some 6s, etc. He calls and we river the nuts. Or what I in real terms are nuts. It's not the actual nuts, of course, but we're loving it. And he had the deuce 3 of hearts. Flop the nut flush draw, bet, get raised. At one point I was like slow playing here and just calling and trying to make my hand, etc. But at the moment I'm just fast playing all my strong made hands and all my strong draws. So I like to go ahead and 3-bet. He calls, which naturally disappointed the fuck out of me. He checks again, and I didn't think this bet had much chance of working, to be honest. But we still have 2 overcards and a nut flush draw, so I don't mind so much if it doesn't work. We're going to suck out plenty of the times. A jam, and somehow we get the miracle fold. Ace deuce, we flop the nuts, we check. And I was thinking about raising here, but then I was thinking, we just got the nuts, check raising monotone boards. Unless you've cooled somebody like when they've got a set or a smaller flush, you just get way too many folds, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, when you don't have a flush, you don't get as many folds because other people are more likely to have one. But when you're sat here with the nuts, I think check calls the very obvious best line. Board pairs the turn. Wasn't too concerned about that. He bets, we call again. And he bets the river, and I was contemplating raise, call, raise, call, raise, call, raise, call, raise, call, raise, call. I finally came down on call, and he flopped a set, so I guess he can consider himself unlucky that he didn't get his my full stack, because I could have check raised at any point there, flop, turn or river. So yeah, we kind of saved ourselves there. Last hand, we have 2 aces. Bet, check, call. Turn is a 5. He leads into us all in. Oh yeah, remember this one. I deliberately made this like 45 big blinds instead of 50 big blinds pots for this one. We're obviously loving life here. We've got the overpair, we've got the nut flush draw. We call. River bricks off, beautiful. Drag the pot to Reggie time, but only he had the deuces. So he check called the flop and then jammed the turn with the deuces and hit the deuce on the river, and that really did sum up my late night session. So yeah, there are all the hands. Let's see what else is going on in the Hold'em Manager world. So even though like those hands were pretty fucking disastrous, we still ended up like making money over all the big pots that we played today. What are we doing here? Going back to after when we started the challenge. So this is what it now looks like for the whole challenge when we take these filters off too, don't we? Take the filter off. So the whole challenge, we're up $117. Winning at like 5.5 big blinds 100, and that's more a product of a 6 tabling than it's hard to know what your true win rate is, because if I was 1 tabling, I think my win rate would be like high double figures. 3 tabling, I think it'd be around 8, and obviously I think this might end up where we are in the terms of big blinds 100 for the duration of the challenge, unless I can really start to be super disciplined with the folds, with the overpairs and things, which I'm trying my best to do, but I clearly haven't been super successful at it so far. Certainly not as successful as I would like to be. The thing is, a lot of them are folds I would make at 30 and 50 NL. I just think like the relatively small amount of money involved makes it easier to just click the call button. So I can understand, I'm starting to understand a little bit more why the guys who are playing these stakes regular try to build a bankroll. I can understand their frustration, because you know, you want to just try and, like, you don't want to fold the big hands. You know, you try to build your roll. Boom! I don't want to be folding these big hands. It's absolutely what we should be doing. I've found out time and time again that just calling like massive river bets when someone's repping a big hand from jump is a massive losing play. Anyway, let's look at what we want to talk about with the 5-0 versus 10-0. In terms of our like big blinds for 100, we're still doing better in EV and in actual big blinds. And maybe that's not as different as it was. Now, at one point, this was down at, say, 26.5, and that was up at, say, 31. I think I've definitely been, like, way more stationary at 5-0 than 10-0. As you can see, slightly more stationary, well, miles worse, $1 at showdown, which means I'm just being a bit of a calling station at 5-0. I think I can significantly improve this EVBB 100 win rate. I think we can get 5-0 up to double figures, hopefully, if I can work my discipline out. And I think this one, because it is 10-0, is definitely a tougher game than the 5 game. I think we can hopefully get this up to 6. By the end of it, I'd like to see this win rate being around 6, this one being at least 8. And I'll take that. We're going to have a lot of variance. We're going to have a lot of really dull days when we're just grinding away and nothing, which is happening maybe 2 or 3 days in a row. That 10,000 hands of nothingness, of just like breaking even or slightly losing. That's good when I'm going to be tested. At the minute, I'm doing really well. I've smashed a shit ton of volume in 4 days, 18,000 hands. So in volume terms, we got off to a good start. In terms of how much money we've made, it's not bad. I mean, if we end up being, if we times this by 5, so when we get to like 100,000 hands, if we've made $600, I'll be fucking delighted. That'll be $150 extra to go in the pot for the charity, and I'll be really happy with $600 at the end of this challenge. Is that how much money you've made? We need to bring this EVBB up to be able to do it, of course, because at the minute, in terms of EV, we're only at 70, so if you times that by 5 and a bit, that's only going to be at 350, which still wouldn't be dreadful. You know, we'd still be giving, you know, best part of $100 away, but I want more. I'd like to be at least 500 in profit by the end of it. I set the target first at 400, thinking what I thought my win rate might be. Given how I played the games a bit, I think 500 is a reasonable target to go for. So, yep. Last thing to look at, I think, is going to be the sessions for the day. And these are the 4 sessions we had: a plus 15, a plus 5, a plus 21, and this fucking disaster session at the end, where we just dropped $32, which is, it takes a bit of recovering from. You know, I mean, $32 in the big scheme of things to me is nothing. I don't care. But in terms of the challenge, it's a big step back. You know, it's whatever, however you want to look at it. It's 4 buy-ins of the combine. If you class it as like 7.5 and L, it's 4 buy-ins dropped. Now that takes some recovering from. It might take me a couple of days to just get back to our previous high point, which is kind of frustrating, but that's what's going to happen when you only win at showdown 48%. You're going to have a losing session most of the time. So I think that's it. Nothing much else to look at, except maybe, yeah, the graph. We haven't looked at the graph yet, have we? So that's the graph's looking really good shape. Then this little sad downswing here. Boo. Not happy with that. Boo. All in EV. I mean, that's not really where I want it to be at the end of this. I mean, if we end up being like that all the way, it's going to be a very frustrating 100,000 hands. I don't want to do this at 4 blinds 100. I want to do it at like a much more crushing rate than that. That's a red line looking. Not dreadful. It's starting to go down a bit more. When I made them adjustments of the day to start being more of a blue line player than a red line player, the red line's always going to start going down, but the blue line started going up much better until tonight. But I mean, you have them sessions, we all have them, can't be helped. So yeah, that's where we're up to. There probably won't be another video out until Wednesday now, because I'm not going to get much play in Monday due to work. Tuesday I'm hopefully going to get 3 sessions in, 1 in the morning, 2 in the evening, but so there could be one coming out. No, I'll probably end up making a video Tuesday night for Wednesday morning after my Tuesday sessions are all washed up. So yeah, there we go. Hope you guys have enjoyed this again. Please, if you got this far, you must be enjoying it. Don't forget to donate if you haven't already done it, and if you can afford to. And if you can't, don't worry about it. Just if you have a bit of luck anywhere here and there over Cheltenham, just remember to try and pass some of the winnings into the pot for the charity. Take care, everybody, and bye for now.